Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters at the ISB and ISBC community, and all the people who are watching us live right now. Again, welcome to this ISB community voice, which is your voice. Since we started back in June 2020, since this quarantine, it was called a quarantine show when we used to be like sitting at home. Right now, some of us are still sitting at home, some of us going outside. So we've been putting on the ISB community voice of all the topics that relates to you on the impact of this COVID-19 from multiple dimensions. Part of these dimensions was the unemployment, and we've been on the frontliners trying to cover this topic from multiple angles. And one of our, would say, early guests during April and May 2020 with this unemployment issues that's happening, insurance issues on unemployment was our guest today. That she's always been on the call whenever something new happens. She jumps into our talk show, shares all her information. So let me start by saying, Monica, thank you for being with us today. Monica is a consulting attorney at the Greater Boston Legal Services and an expert on systematic changes to the Massachusetts unemployment law. Monica is currently a full-time consultant at Greater Boston Legal Services, where she has worked since 1979 as a staff attorney, as a senior attorney, and the lead attorney in employment law unit. She is a graduate of the University of Massachusetts Boston and Northeastern University School of Law. She has represented countless clients in unemployment insurance claims, and this is the topic of our episode today, and work closely with the community-based clients and labor on systematic changes to the Massachusetts unemployment law and other public policy campaign, which makes it perfect to the topic that we are going to talk about today, which is the unemployment insurance. First of all, Monica, Happy New Year, and thank you for being with us today. I appreciate your time, appreciate like sharing your knowledge and all the stuff that's happening. I know that we've been talking, we've been sharing information, and before in this ISB community voice, and we reached out to you if there's something like we need to know about this unemployment things. I always like being very generous with your information. Thank you for that, Monica. With that being said, let me start by asking you a question here. We met, I would say that last year on unemployment issues. So I would like you to walk us on a timeline. What happened since the COVID hit? So remind us, like, with the unemployment programs that were available to the people in 2020.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. So, unemployment during the pandemic. In March, toward the end of March, there were, excuse me, several laws passed concerning unemployment and creating some new federal unemployment programs. And there's essentially two tracks to go on when you need unemployment, when you no longer have work. And one of those is a continuation of what existed before the pandemic, and that's regular unemployment. Regular unemployment benefits are available to people who lost their jobs through no fault of their own and need unemployment benefits. What the federal laws then added to that were several programs. One is called the Pandemic Unemployment Emergency Comp, Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Comp, or PEUC. And that gives you an extra 13 weeks of unemployment benefits. In addition, there's a permanent program called Extended Benefits that also provides more weeks of unemployment, actually up to 20 more weeks. So that's what's available. If you started with regular unemployment, you could then move to PEUC for the 13 weeks and then get extended benefits for up to 20 weeks. For those individuals who are not traditionally eligible for unemployment, so that's people who don't have W-2 income, who are independent contractors or work in the gig economy, such as Uber or Lyft or anyone who doesn't have a regular employer employee relationship, if you're self employed, Congress created a very important new program called Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, or PUA. Sorry for all the initials. And that program provided up to 46 weeks of unemployment benefits last year in 2020. And the amount of the benefit was a minimum of 267 and then could be increased based on your earnings. So that was the landscape in 2020. All these programs were set to expire on December 26th, the day after Christmas. And we were very worried because, as you may recall, these programs were part of a larger piece of legislation that the president delayed signing. And he finally signed the bill on December 27th, which meant that these programs that I mentioned have continued. So, for example, the PEUC program that provided 13 weeks of benefits. There were 11 more weeks added to that. The PUA program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance for people not usually eligible for regular unemployment, that also has 11 weeks more benefits. So those are what have been added recently.
Awesome. Thank you, Monica, for that. So, does this mean that the new administration right now will continue for another year for the PEUC and the PUA?
So unfortunately not for another year. The bill that was signed extends the PEUC and the PUA just until March 13th of this year. However, if you are getting benefits on either one of those programs on that date and you have more weeks left to collect, depending on the timing, you can keep collecting until April 10th. But April 10th is the absolute end for those two programs. The EB program, the Extended Benefit Program, which is the permanent program, that depends on whether or not we are experiencing high rates of unemployment. And if we are, and you have not used up all the weeks that you're entitled to, which is 20, you can keep getting those.
That's a very good question, comment, because like I was about to ask about how long can someone remain unemployed, and the answer came like 20 weeks. Does this mean that I can collect up to maximum of 20 weeks? That's it.
So I wish it were simpler, but it all depends on what program you're on and when you got on it. If you were getting extended benefits and you then used up all your extended benefits and you still had benefits available under the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Comp Program, you could get benefits up to April 10th. The 20 weeks of the extended benefits, yes, you can get 20 weeks, but if you've already used them in 2020, you can only get the additional weeks in 2021. So 20 is the maximum for the extended benefits. For the other programs, the PEUC and the PUA, those end no matter what on April 10th. The expectation, however, is that because the pandemic continues, because the coronavirus is still very severe, that Congress will pass yet another extension.
Yeah, because like you know that economy stops like immediately by I would say like cardiac arrests and everyone lost their jobs. However, to get it back, it needs time. To build it
It
back, it
does.
needs time. So it's not like, yeah. So like it's not anyone's fault to be like unemployed right now. So, however, I would say that the vision up to now is like 10 April 10th, and then our expectations from the new administration that this is going to be renewed
Right,
so that people can,
right,
yeah,
right,
awesome.
right,
So, but
exactly.
this is like too much information for someone to comprehend. This is because like you're a lawyer, attorney, and you work in this
I
field. However, for someone who lost their job, they don't have all this information. So how can they get access to those information? And what is the eligibility? How can I test my eligibility? Which program? What is my benefit? Which program to
Right,
jump first and then leave after that? So
yeah. Those are excellent questions. So, first of all, if the person has never been unemployed before and now the individual is unemployed, the question is, do you apply for regular unemployment or pandemic unemployment assistance? You have to apply for regular unemployment if you have earned $5,400 in W 2 regular earnings in the prior year. So that sets you off on the path of regular unemployment, then pandemic emergency unemployment of, well, first of all, sorry, the regular unemployment can last up to 26 weeks. Then, if they're still available, you can get the PEUC, the 13, now 24-week extension, because it was 13 plus 11, and the extended benefit. And the extended benefit, again, depends on whether we are in a high unemployment rate. If you are not eligible for regular unemployment because you are self employed, independent contractor, or you didn't meet that monetary requirement, you didn't earn that 5,400 in the past year, for any of those reasons, you can then go on PUA, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, and get up to 57 weeks of that unless the program stops before you're done collecting. So those are the two paths.
perfect.
Does
So the
that
two
help?
path, yeah, that definitely you're like you have your way of simplifying things. I hope that it's very simple for our audience as well. So number one, they have to look at the earnings at the prior year, and it
Yes,
has to be 50, 54 hundred in the past year. That's right.
right,
And if this is the case, then they can go into regular unemployment. And after
right.
like being on the regular unemployment, then they can apply for the pandemic unemployment. Does this make sense? This is like what you're telling me right now. That's right.
After the regular unemployment, if the program is available, you can get the Pandemic Emergency Unemployment Comp, and that's now for 24 weeks. And
Awesome.
once you've used up that, or if that program stops because of the date, then you can still get extended benefits for up to 20 weeks while the unemployment rate is high. If that path doesn't work, you go on pandemic unemployment assistance. Those weeks are available up for right now up until April 10th.
Okay, Monica, I have a question for you. Where is this information available for the regular person? So, like, shall we go into a specific website? There's a number that we can call so that they can advise
Yes,
us which
yes,
program is suitable
yes,
for us. So, yeah.
yes. So the place that I would advise people to go is to the unemployment website, and that's mass.gov unemployment. And that explains the eligibility criteria. It explains whether you should apply for regular unemployment or pandemic unemployment assistance. It also explains some other important things. Unfortunately, since we last met on this show, there was a terrible hack by fraudsters on the entire unemployment system. So millions and millions of dollars have gone to people who stole people's social security numbers and pretended to be them and made false claims. As a result of that, the agency has really tightened up requiring anybody who's applying for unemployment to prove their identity. And they have to submit documents that show their date of birth, that show their name, their address, and official government documents. If you are on regular unemployment, you have to upload that to an online system in a PDF document. And if you're on pandemic unemployment assistance, you can at least use any form of document, but you also have to submit these documents. So the requirements to prove your identity are also on that website. And they're very important to follow because if you don't provide the identity documents that the agency asks for, they hold your claim and then you have to go to a hearing. And because there's so many people waiting to go to a hearing, there's a long delay in you getting your benefits. So it's very important to go to the website and to make sure you follow the steps to prove your identity.
That's I would say like very elaborative at the same time very sad to hear all this like steps right now while people like are suffering and people are making use of the people that are suffering and stole money about that by
Right,
hacking their
right,
identity. That's very
right.
unpleasant. So this for the people that they can read from the websites and comprehend. It is a number they can call so that they can get coaching on what fits them better than the programs.
So the numbers are called by so many people. There's a lot of delay, so people need a lot of patience. The telephone number is 617 the information on the website is also in multiple languages as well. So people who don't speak English can get help on the website as well. I also wanted to add
Awesome.
one more thing in terms of what has changed since we spoke last. So before, in addition to the number of weeks of benefits, there was a $600 addition that you got for every week that you were getting unemployment benefits from the end of March till the end of July. That then stopped the end of July, and there was a 6-week period from the beginning of August till September 5th where you could get an extra $300. Those extra payments stopped on September 5th. They have now started up again. So from December 27th until March 13th, every week, you can get, on top of whatever your unemployment check is, an extra $300 a week. So that's helpful.
That's
There's
very
then
helpful.
one
The
other,
yeah.
yeah, there's one other new program, and this relates back to some questions we had the last time I did this show. And that pertains to people who have mixed income. And what I mean by that is they have one job where they earn the W 2 wages and another job where they earn 1099 income. So, an example of a person in that situation would be someone who's a musician who teaches music in a school and they're but just very few hours, so is getting just above the 5,400 for the year. So would get a low unemployment check. Most of their money comes from their music gigs, performances, and that's all paid in 1099. The problem is that because they earned 5,400 in the prior year, they have to do regular UI. But to calculate their benefit amount, the 1099 income is not considered covered income. So they end up getting a very small unemployment check. So Congress tried to do something about it. It wasn't a huge help, but what they have done is said that if you are a worker in that situation and your earnings from your 1099 jobs have in the taxable year before you applied for regular unemployment was $5,000, at least $5,000, then every week from now till March 13th, you get an extra $100 a week. And people will have to apply for that. It hasn't been put up yet on the site because it'll take the agency a little while to program it, but that's called the Mixed Earner Unemployment Compensation, or MEUC. So for folks in that situation, it doesn't certainly bring them enough money, but at least there's an extra $100 a week on top of their regular unemployment benefit.
I like. Thank you for sharing that. I think we need to watch this episode again and start having a pen and a paper and write them down, all those criteria, all those programs, because I think this is like
Yes,
a lot of information that
I
we
know.
need to know.
It's terrible, and I really apologize. We are waiting for a few more federal guidelines. And once we have all the information, I will send you and you can distribute to your listeners a fact sheet that combines all this information in one place and hopefully will be easier to digest than what I've done now.
No, that's you're trying like to make it simple, and thank you for sharing this information. It is what it is. However, we, you know, and I know that when someone like lose the job, they're overwhelmed and thinking, and
Right.
to comprehend all those like information, that's it takes some time. So, are there any training coming up about the new law, so that or webinars that people can attend, so that they can
Yes.
familiarize themselves with what's going on? Yeah.
Yes. There will be a training on January 21st at 5 p.m. put on through the Labor Guild. So you can Google the Labor Guild. The registration is free. It will be an hour and a half description in more detail with PowerPoint of all these programs that I've just talked about.
Awesome. I have a silly question, Monica. Like all those unemployment claims, are those taxable? I have to put them in my tax return and pay tax on them?
Yes, unfortunately, it's both federal and state taxes. Yeah.
Awesome, great.
It's actually one of the
One,
reasons that the state coffers are doing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
go ahead, Monica. I'm listening to you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I think I was frozen. Um, so, um, I'm
We were
sorry. I
talking
lost my
about
train
like
of thought because
the,
I was frozen.
oh no,
Sorry.
yeah, it's we're talking about like those taxes thing. Unfortunately, we have to pay taxes on
Oh, yeah.
those unemployment. Yeah.
Right, right, right. That's right. Thank you. I was just starting to say that was one of the reasons the state budget did as well as it did because there were so many people collecting unemployment that they will have some state taxes as a result of all those unemployment benefits. But generally speaking, unemployment benefits are not only so critical for unemployed workers, they really help the state economy. And most of the money is federal dollars. So coming into the state through that alphabet soup of programs, through the PEUC and the PUA and the MEUC, et cetera. So it's bringing federal dollars in that helps businesses, that helps workers, it helps the community.
Awesome. Are we seeing that with the new administration, things will continue to be the same, or some programs will be cut, or other programs will be put? How do you envision like the future of those programs with the new administration?
I think we all certainly hope that the new administration will be nothing like the prior administration. Um, the President elect Biden has already said that it is one of his priorities to provide more comprehensive benefits for unemployed workers. So I'm hopeful that the benefits will extend for as long as they're needed, and there will be more generous benefits to help individual workers and their families. And
Monica,
we're
thank you
waiting
very
to
much
see.
for being.
Oh, sure.
No, go on, go on.
I was just saying we're waiting to see who the new Secretary of Labor will be. Maybe it will be our own mayor. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, that's right. Let's be hopeful for the future. Thank you for sharing all your information and like being with us as usual. Thank you for being the friend of the ISB community voice, and for our community. We really appreciate you and what you're bringing to the show. And I know that we reached out to you even like after the show. So with that being said, thank you, Monica, and see you again. And happy 2021. Let's be hopeful. Thank you, Monica.
Yes. Same to you. Thank you.